We are live. Welcome. Hmm. Gonna get started. Let me share while we wait to see if anybody hops on. I'm gonna be sharing it in a few places. I didn't. Oh, interesting. Okay. We're going to be talking about the Great Inversion process that we are all going through right now. So let me just share it. It is a beautiful sunny day. I had the most incredible experience yesterday. Last night, I was sweeping the kitchen, and then I was looking for a dustpan, and I opened up the front door, and in the middle of the door, facing the door, is this humongous grasshopper, which is probably the one that I saw last week uh, in my neighbor's wall. And I was just like, actually, I just started to cry. And it was just so crazy because then it hopped back, like back away from the house, and then it hopped inside. And so I had a grasshopper inside my house, hopping all over the place. And it was just so cool. I ended up putting it out in the back patio, and it stayed the night there. And I went to see, and it was in the same exact place. And so now it moved. And so right now, right before I came here, I was outside in the patio hanging clothes because I just washed, and I saw a hummingbird. And I saw it for like 4 seconds, which is longer than usual. And it just blew me away as well. So quite a magical morning. Welcome, welcome. If you're here and you'd like to say hi, you're welcome to. I want to say that I want to say that I get to see most comments on most platforms. Um, but you're welcome to say hi. Okay. Um, so I'm just gonna leave it pretty simple. How is everyone? We'll be starting here soon. I just wanted to share on a few other platforms that I forget. I forget to share sometimes on some platforms. So here we are. We're going to go with the flow. I have the theme for today, which is the Great Inversion. And I have my little whiteboard too. The Great Inversion. Let's talk a little bit about the Great Inversion, what this is, how it affects us. And I talked about it in Spanish, so I just decided to expand on it in English too. But it's the whole flip. It's a flip. It's a 180-degree turnaround. It's the inversion of energies. It's the inversion of roles. It's a big change. Everything is, it's almost like everything is turning inside out. Everything is flipping upside down. Excuse me. Everything is um like this big turnaround. Everything is turning around. And we're feeling it on all levels. We're feeling it on every aspect of our reality. And we're going to continue to feel this. This is going to continue to increase, which is why it's super important to start opening up to it. We feel it on all different levels. And there's so many different levels that I'm sure I won't get to cover them all. But this is the biggest one of the biggest things that's happening, that everything that once was is shifting, and it's churning. It's We're being turned inside out. It's kind of how I explained it. So if you imagine um, being turned upside down, if you were to be turned upside down, um, let's just say that you're moving. So you have a lot of things on you. You're carrying a lot of things, or you're in the middle of traveling, and so you have like your backpack or your luggage or your suitcase or your carry-on. If someone were to flip you or turn you upside down, what would happen? Well, the stuff that you're carrying would fall. The stuff in your pockets would start to fall. Maybe your bracelet, maybe what you have on your hair. Um, this is essentially what's happening. We're being flipped upside down. And so everything that we've been carrying consciously, unconsciously, and subconsciously is falling. And the greatest thing about this that we need to continually open up is that we, anything that's too heavy for us and too heavy for the body is starting to fall, so that you no longer have to carry it. And this is one of the biggest and most powerful things that's happening right now, that we have to continue to allow it. As crazy as it may seem, and it may sound, we are in resistance of it. We are resisting the process because our minds don't understand. Because our mind will always revert to the worst case scenario, the worst possible outcome, the most traumatic experience. So it's always going to be in this internal resistance. It's always going to be in this very subconscious pulling back, fighting back, protecting itself from what's happening because it's not connected to what is. And so it's always going to misinterpret things. This is normal. This is just how the linear human brain is programmed. It's nothing to fear, but it is something to be more conscious of. So, we're in this subconscious resistance of it. It's important to feel it, it's important to acknowledge it, it's important to open up to it. the more that you sit with what's falling, with what's being um, released, with everything that you're starting to feel and everything that you are afraid to lose, the more you the more you will be supported through the process. Because in that being present and in that you being open to it and allowing it, you start to feel just how heavy that bag was, just how heavy that luggage was, just how heavy absolutely everything has been. And the biggest thing is that we have no clue how heavy our lives have been. We have no clue how heavy our baggage has been. Like there's some notion of like, yeah, we've all got baggage. Yeah, we've all got this. We've all got luggage to carry, but we don't feel it. And we haven't been able to feel it until now. Everything that we've been carrying is feeling extremely heavy now. That's why all of these emotions are coming up. This is why everything feels like so a bit of, a lot of chaos. There's a lot of turmoil. There's a lot of confusion. We're starting to feel all of these things, which is enormous because the more that you feel this, the more the body is able to open up and the more your body is able to release all of these things, the more your body shifts. And so this whole entire process about, everything's inverting. We're going from, carrying the biggest and the most heaviest luggage to recognizing that we are. And in that recognition, it's the feeling, it's the seeing, it's the processing, which is it's what your body does, so that you can flip the script and live a much lighter, softer, smoother, harmonious, loving experience, loving life. But it doesn't happen overnight. It's not this, oh, I'm just going to wake up and everything's going to be gone. That's what the ego and separation aspect would like to think because it doesn't want to feel. You just take this from me, but in reality, it's very resistant to letting go. And so that's like half the process right there. Allowing yourself and just being present with all that is, and just being, um, and just allowing and honoring what is actually happening. And you don't have to know what's happening. Okay. Of course, I just gave you one clue of what's happening. It's the Great Inversion. Everything is flipping. Everything is flipping inside out. Everything is turning upside down. Everything is in that inversion. There's so much to it, but um, this is where a lot of things start to change for us. We start to see things from a completely different angle. We start to see things from a completely different lens, which opens up our mind, which expands our horizons, expands our consciousness, and we start to have a different values, have a different value system. All of our values start to change. And that's also part of the big change. We're becoming more energetic, which means that as energy, we start to feel, connect, communicate with more of our energy, as energy. So while the physical world is energy, we've been living in from a consciousness that says the physical world is the only world that exists. The physical outside external world is more important than my internal world. The physical external world is the one that changes first. And everything is backwards. We have been living so backwards, and it's like it's finally hitting us. We're finally in that stage where it's like, ah, I'm starting to see. I've been living my life for other people. I've been living my life for someone else's approval. I've been living my life just for the accolades. I've been living my life so out of alignment with who I am. That's why everything is falling apart now. That's why everything is changing right now. Because we are at a point where collectively we're starting to see what's been going on for a really, really long time. It's a process though, as is all. Welcome. Welcome to the journey, the forever journey, the infinite journey of soul self-realization and expansion. It is everything. And at some level, this is exactly why we're here. This is exactly what we came here to experience. Looking outside my window. Ah, looking at the messages. Um, this big 18-wheeler. It's huge. I'm saying huge. 18-wheelers are huge. Um, they, 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 they go through my street. And if you may or may not know, the streets in Mexico are, for the most part, very narrow. So I'm always amazed at these 18-wheelers that go by. And this one, it's probably because of the hour maybe, it was like going really, really slow. So, excuse me. Starting to open up a little more. Of course, I can feel it. Um, the big, the big changes that we're seeing, the big changes that are happening right now are very normal. However, the mind, the closed mind, the linear aspect, the separated self, the ego, we have all of these different terms for it, are clenching or clutching, have been very closed. They will resist change at all costs. And so we've been living within that, safety zone, within that safety, comfort zone, very resistant to change. And at some level, we have been able to survive by living that or by living in this way. That has expired. That's ending. We are no longer going to continually be able to survive in that space because everything is opening up and is pushing us out of that comfort zone. And we knew this would happen. At a soul level, we knew this. At a soul level, we always have bigger understanding and comprehension of what's going on and why we come here, well, we forget. The biggest thing is to continue to allow yourself to open up to absolutely every change that is happening in your world right now, especially the changes that you're starting to feel, especially the changes that you're starting to feel inside of you, starting to connect to the energies, the heaviness, the out of alignment, and just be present. This isn't as hard as we think. It's actually a lot simpler and a lot more basic. And I always remind everyone of that. Like, come back to your breath. Come back to your body. Not just here. We have this whole stay hard, stay in the heart, stay centered. You're not just in your heart. You have to be in your entire body. And one of the biggest parts of your body that we have been so disconnected is the root. So allowing yourself to be more present in your root opens up so much for us. Breathing through your root, breathing light through your root, and all the organs and all the bones and all the muscles around your root is so important, especially right now. Especially right now, because your root holds your safety structures, your safety mechanisms, your safety net. Your root holds your survival constructs, your financial systems, your lack programs, your deeply embedded belief systems. It holds the consciousness of how you actually feel in the body and on this planet. At a very root level. Wow, it's a lot there's a lot of clearing. At a root level, none of us have ever felt safe here. None of us have ever fully, truly, 100% and 100% of the time felt wanted here. Every single person on this planet has had to endure an enormous amount of separation, which is incredibly painful. Every single person at some level has felt the need, has lived through a survival mechanism. We're just trying to survive. We're just trying to make it. We're just trying to hold on long enough for the next meal. Every single one of us has lived like this. And this is, by the way, this has nothing to do with whether or not you have food in your belly or food in your fridge. This is very subconscious. Where part of us don't know if we're going to make it. And at the same time, part of us don't even want to make it. We actually do want out. So take a moment to just breathe with me. There's a lot of these things that we've never never been able or willing or wanted to admit. And part of that also is our disconnection that this is actually what's going on inside of us. So we have no clue that this is what we're feeling, that this is what's going on, and this is how we're living until now. Consciousness is and will always be everything, and I want you to really feel into that. We have this like very intrinsic belief and program that says, I really don't want to know. And yet, consciousness is who you are. So you will always be in that expansion of consciousness, and you're always going to be ready to know more. This is the part, this linear mind brain is a part that will convince you otherwise. And I go through it, and we all go through it. It's a process. It's part of the self-realization and awareness of what's been going on for a really, really, really long time. So when we talk about everything is inverting, everything is flipping upside down and inside out. Part of the inside out process is that everything that's been inside at a very deep subconscious level is becoming more tangible, and it's becoming more visible. So we are all already, and for a while now, we are starting to see things in our world that we may not have had the awareness before that it was happening. It's been happening for a really long time. This isn't new. Nothing is new. It's just that it was happening behind closed doors. It was happening behind the table. It was happening in dark rooms. And so we weren't as conscious. We weren't as aware. But this flipping of the table, this flipping of the coin, this inside out process is allowing us to see more of what's been hidden inside of ourselves, what's been so deeply buried inside of ourselves that we didn't even know it. That's what's actually happening right now. That at some level, those things that we had been hiding, those things that we had been like keeping secret, or that we didn't even know we were hiding. We didn't even know we had buried. All of a sudden, it comes out to the light. We're starting to feel it, and we're starting to see a physical representation of that energy in our external realities. Okay? This is important to start really feeling into this. Everything that you see in your external is something that's happening in your external, in your internal. It's internal. It's in to out. Always. It will always be like this. It's just that we weren't conscious of this. So it's time to flip as well, like flip the script. Flip from our external focus to our internal focus, which is also part of the flip, the inversion. That We've been living under the perception that what's outside of ourselves is more important. What's in our external is bigger. It has more value than ourselves, than what's inside of ourselves. And now everything is flipping on us. And it's pushing us and it is allowing us to go deeper inside of ourselves, deeper inside of what we feel, deeper inside of our emotions, deeper inside of so many different places that we have not been wanted to go into. So it's really, it's key. And just put it to the side, like, oh, I'm fine, it's fine there. I don't need to see it, I don't need to look at it. I just need to forget about it. And in fact, we have. But just because you forget about it, or just because you think you already let it go, energetically, it's still inside of your body. And your body is going to push it up to the surface for you to feel. That's the body's role. In fact, that's always been the body's role, but now we're going to see it even more. Like now we're going to start to see and feel things on a level we never have. But that's because we're ready. That's because our body and at a soul level, we're done. At a soul level, we're getting really, really done with the old structures. At a soul level, at a soul body level, we're coming to our breaking point. And this is such a humongous phase for everyone to honor. We all have to get there. And it has to be inside. We have to allow ourselves to feel this inside of ourselves. Because when we do, the breaking points of our external reality are going to be much softer. The more you allow yourself to break inside, the more your body shifts, the more everything softens. So your external reality is also going to soften. It's not going to be as harsh. It's not going to be a house of cards falling on you. It's not going to be, your physical house crumbling and you're inside of it. No. You're actually going to have the enough time to move out of that reality, of those realities. The more you become conscious and the more you give yourself permission to do this. I'm giving you right now the permission to do this so that you can give yourself the permission as well. It's not just me, but sometimes we need that permission slip so that you can give it to yourself. And I'm also talking about someone that's has gone through so much of this in so many levels, and is already I'm on the other side, but it's still like I'm still going through the process of like, okay, we have to more of our internal separated aspects have to cross over. So I'm still in the process. However, I'm also coming from like, it's okay, this is what's going on. Give yourself permission to have this opportunity to live in a very different world and a very different reality. Okay, this doesn't mean that you're not going to, not see what's happening. No, we have to see what's happening too. Now, it just depends on where you are. There's a moment where like we turn off the news and we turn off the TV and we turn off the radio and we disconnect from all of that. But there's a moment where your body has much more light, your body has expanded a lot more, and so you're capable of actually seeing things from a whole different level, and you're capable of feeling things on a much deeper level too. So you see what's going on for reference purposes too, and to connect deeper with it inside of you. so that you don't have to experience that on a physical level that's like traumatic. There comes a point where we're like, we've done traumatic, right? Been there, done that, even got a t-shirt for that. So that's part of our breaking point too, where we say enough is enough. Where we say, the thing is that when you get to a breaking point is when at a physical soul level, your body is willing and ready to feel the pain of the heaviness and the traumas that we've been holding on as part of our safety mechanism. And that's when things really start to shift. When you give yourself the opportunity to actually feel everything that you have not been willing and have not wanted to feel. This is the key and will always be the key to everything. You have to be willing to feel everything that you have not wanted to feel. It doesn't make you bad and it doesn't make you wrong. It makes you, it opens you up to so much. It, it returns you to your soul aspect. But of course, the head and the linear mind will tell you something else. The linear mind will create stories, will create beliefs, will create all of these different perceptions that keep you resisting that which you must feel. It's part of the process we all go through. Is I'm saying that to say you're not alone in this process. There's so much. But the beautiful thing is that I feel we're finally in a new phase. I'm going to say that. We're finally in a whole new phase for every single person and on every single level of our lives and on every single level of this planet. We're about to turn a really big page in a really big chapter. In fact, we're probably at the very end of the book for many of us. Everyone is on different levels, so everything is relative, but we're in that last chapter of this very old, heavy book. Okay? And it's almost like sometimes when you read a really good book or you read your favorite book all the time, it's like you kind of want to just savor it and you kind of take your time because you really don't want to end, you don't want it to end. But please give yourself permission to really end this one. Because this is the horror movie, the horror book. This is like the trauma book. And it's as crazy as it may seem, this has been our safety. So I'm just reliving our old traumas over and over and over and over and over and over and over. It's part of the paradox of this reality. We are, many of us on many levels, we're about to end this book. Okay, many of us have ended those books because it's not just one book, it's many. But at a collective level, we're about to just end this book, end this chapter. Okay. And there's always this like resistance to it. Always, always, always. Okay? We don't know what's next. So the fear of the unknown, the fear of the new, the fear of change, right? Fear of feeling all of these things, okay? Believing that that's it. The end is the end, and it's like there's nothing more. When, if and when you allow yourself to just breathe and know and feel and remember that it's everything is always moving and everything is always opening up and closing, everything is always ending and beginning, you know intrinsically in your deepest core that there will always be more. Like there's always going to be that opening. There's always going to be that something higher, something better, something much more amazing. Like we know that at the very deepest core of ourselves, but yeah, it takes a while sometimes, and it's this opening up to the resistance and opening up to just everything that we feel. So, oh, it's the shadow. It's the shadow. It's the separation that we have to go into. It's really interesting. Go deeper into the shadow to find the separation. That's where you want to get to. Um, we're about, so sorry. The flipping, it's not just, we're not just ending a chapter, we're ending a book. This is why everything feels so big. This is why so many big things are going to continue to occur. Okay. Breathe. There is a semi-blank book that we are all being offered, that we are all receiving right now, where we get to become more conscious about what we experience in this new chapter or in this new book. Okay, there are things that have already been written, by the way. There are some things that, like, in the overall gist of things, the world that's ending, oh sorry, the world that we are creating is going to be far, far, far different than the one we live now. Like, there is no comparison. It's going to be night and day. It's going to be beyond anything we imagine. Like, I feel like most of us at some level know that. We get caught up in the specifics, and we get caught up in like, how is this going to happen? How long is this going to take? Breathe. It's happening at a cellular level. It has to happen at a cellular DNA level first. That's the kicker. That's the biggest key to all of this. You have to embody it first. We all do. And in that embodiment, we start to live as that. We start to create a world. We start to live. We start to breathe it in our homes, in our families, in our workspace, in all of these different places. And that has a ripple effect. It spreads and it expands into every person on this planet. So we're already going to start to feel and live in a very different experience I'm sure a lot of us already have been. And because we're energy, because everything is inverting, we're going to continue to feel that flip. We're going to continue to feel that tables have turned. Um, the magnets have flipped. And so we're going to be magnetizing more of who we are at a soul level, and everything that we're not is also going to come up to the surface so that we can release it. We're in this big purge too. We're in a lot of phases, by the way. Keep hearing like the great this and the great this and the great this. I'm like, okay, it's where we are, and we have to continue to flow with it. We really have to continue to just like, okay, this is a very normal, natural part of our existence. It's a very natural flow of who we are, right? It's like the seasons. It's like night and day. It's like aging. Everything moves, everything changes, everything is in this constant flow. We've been very resistant to that flow, which is part of the reason our world has been very harsh and traumatic. Now, more than ever, we're starting to get pushed out of that, literally. We're starting to be like, it's time to experience something new and experience something different. You and I and everyone, we weren't meant to live that way forever. We, at some level, did choose to experience it. And you have to continually decide, like, okay, that's it. Like, enough's enough. I get it. Like, I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to, like, go beyond my linear mind. I'm ready to be who I am at a core soul level. And that ultimately automatically changes your experience on every level. We're at that point. In fact, many of us have been there, but I feel like we're even like in a deeper phase right now. Sorry. Um, Sometimes it takes me a while to explain it because it's so huge. And in that energy, huge things will also occur. Beautiful, magical, amazing, but also super activating. And yes, activation, the energy of the word activation is much softer than trigger. It's going to be tons of triggers too. There's going to be bigger collapses, which I know every single person has been seeing that too. But again, it's part of the process. The more we are conscious of where we're still resisting that flow and this process, the better, because your body is able to shift it faster. So what else do I want to say about the inversion? Everything flips inside out, and very physical too. Your nights turn to days, or days turn to nights sometimes. What you eat flips as well. Your diet is all over the place sometimes. The food that you've stopped eating for years, all of a sudden your body starts to crave. And vice versa, the foods that you've always eaten, your body then just kind of stops craving it. That's also the flip. Everything flips. everything flips because everything is meant to flip. Everything is meant to move and change. And so with like the food and diet, um, I'm sure there's many that are like, what the hell's going on? Or like, I call myself this or I might call myself this. And all of a sudden, like my body wants this. What the hell's going on? There's a lot of things going on, but there's a lot of different activations that come through food. And we have settled into a very comfortable space that kind of like says, oh yeah, this is a way to eat. This is the only way to eat. When in reality, your body, because your body is moving, is working through so many things, and it's working through so many aspects of yourselves, of ourselves, of yourself, you're going to be activated to different kinds of foods all along the process, depending on what aspect your body's working through. So yes, there will be moments where you're going to have weird cravings. There's going to be moments where, you feel out of sorts. There's going to be moments where things that you felt you had totally control of, or you totally understood, everything's going to flip on you, and you're going to be like, I have no idea what's going on, and I have no control over it. You see how this flip works? It's like everything that once was is going to turn completely polar opposite on you. Things that you were used to, things that you were comfortable, things that you used to do for a really long time, you're going to go through that 180-degree flip. And it's all part of the process. It's about this new balance point, new balancing. So feel the fear that comes up. Don't run away from it. Don't resist it. Don't judge it. Feel everything through your breath, through the connection of your through your body connection, and you're going to start to see, and you're going to start to feel much lighter. You're going to start to feel this new flow. You're going to start to see and feel changes in your reality. You're going to start to feel different. Different isn't weird. Different isn't bad. Different isn't something is wrong. Different is movement. Different is who you are as energy, because everything is always moving, and at some level you're always going to be experiencing new things. Sometimes new feels different. The different has, at some level, has a very heavy connotation, right? It's like, we don't want to be different. We don't want to look like we're different. We want to fit in. We've always wanted to fit in. We've always wanted to, feel wanted and accepted. And we have believed and accepted that, in order to receive that kind of support, I need to fit in, and I need to be like everyone else, and I need to feel like everyone else, and I need to do what everyone else is doing. So then we started to play with words and, unique or authentic or all of these different, words. Allow yourself to feel deeper into these words, because there's going to be a lot of resistance. There's going to be a lot of energy to feel into. Okay, at the end of the day, it's like we keep it super basic. Just feel. No labels. Just feel. Okay. There's moments where you will. You're like, oh, this feels different. Oh, this feels new. Oh, this feels bizarre. All of these different things. Um, and sometimes you don't. You're meant to never stay the same. You're meant to always change. You're meant to always be in this different spot because that's how it's always been, and that's what's been actually happening inside at an internal level. You've always been moving and shifting. It's just that it's that intrinsic program that makes you believe that that's not safe, that that will get you killed, and then your survival mechanisms can kick in, and then you resist the very thing that you are. Breathe. Come back to your breath. Come back to that space inside that knows and remembers. This is all part of the process. This is all part of the new flow. It's a new flow. It's a new stability. It's a new reality. It's a new, semi-new consciousness. It's a new way of life. It's a new way of living. It's a new way of breathing. It's a new way of expressing it. Like everything is changing because it's always meant to. It's always like it always needed to change. But we were so resistant to that change that now it's like we have no choice. There is no choice. There's no choice. There is no other choice than us opening, than us allowing, than us coming back to the breath. We've had too many choices and too many options of like going back and hanging on to the old and living in that survival mode and living out of that survival mechanism. And this is why we are the way we are. Like, this is why the world has been hell. Until now, where we are finally at the collective level, we're like, we're done. We're ending this chapter together. We're ending this old world together. And we're going to open up ourselves to a whole new experience, to a whole new reality. It has to come from us. This is not about just waiting for the bigger systems and the leaders and all of these, versions of ourselves to do it first. This is about us. This is about each and every single person starting to really internalize this and really start to allow the changes that are already happening inside so that we can become more comfortable and more self-assured and more confident and more feel more complete in living this. Like, I see now, like, as I go through my process and I go through my journey, it's like, and everyone's different, right? But I sit and I feel into, like, part of me, in my, when I'm in my head and I'm like, man, it's taking me all this time. And yet I've been doing this in the background, right? I've been doing this behind the scenes for now over a decade. And I had to go through what I had to go through. And I had to go through the experiences, and I had to go through deeper levels of this process and the dissolution and the death and rebirth and all of these different things in order for me to come into a space that I am now where, like, everything's different. This is no longer about the numbers or whatever it may be. Like, the energy and the information and the consciousness has to be spread and has to be shared. And obviously I have to continue to, like, live it and breathe it and feel it, because yeah, there's so many different things that I see that I still need, like my reality still needs to shift. And yet you're confidently in that flow, knowing that everything is happening and things are moving and you are shifting and you are in that movement, or you are in that flow. And it's just a matter of time, energetic time. It's just a matter of like, m- there's a moment where everything is going to hit and like people are going to be much more open and much more willing and much more ready to like let everything go. Just like I did 6 years ago. And I did it again 5 years ago. And I continue to like be in that process of like moving and shifting and releasing and throwing away. Like this is a constant. This is a constant, looking at your reality, feeling, seeing, sensing what fits now and what doesn't. And what doesn't, you're much more confident about just letting it flow. And again, like, yeah, it's taken that long, and yet I know that it's not going to take that long for a lot of people. Now, everything is relative. So everyone is on their own journey. Everyone is going to experience the things that they will experience in the time frame that they will experience it. Like, it doesn't really matter. But in this like, as I see where we are collectively and we're about to like turn a book, like we're ending a whole book. This is not a chapter anymore. This is like a whole fucking book. It changes everything. It will continue to change everything, and it will continue to change things in a really, 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 really massive way that we're all ready for. We're ready to go deeper. We're ready to open up more. We're ready to invest in ourselves. We're ready to embark in new journeys, new adventures. So many movement right now, professionally, personally, at a family level. Like, so much is moving right now. So much. So much is dissolving. So many people are transitioning. Everything is happening all at the same time simultaneously, and though it's always been like that, we're starting to feel it and see it and at a physical level that we never have before. We never have seen that. And obviously we saw a lot of changes in 2020. But 2020 was a preparation for the next phase. We're about to enter the next phase. So um, there's still this window where I feel like a lot of us are going to move into this. Okay, I'm going to be serious about this. I'm going to really do this. And a lot of us that I see are getting to that space of like, I have no choice. My mental stability, my physical health, my emotional energy is really, really being affected more than before. And so we have to take those steps, those conscious steps to open up, breathe, spend more time in nature, right? Do, meditative, different things, different types of meditation, um, sing, play, all of these things support. It's not just one thing. Everything supports. You just have to be super conscious and super connected to know what it is that you need in that moment and in that phase. But everything supports. Absolutely everything supports. So, um, we get caught up on like, what do I do? Is this a right or wrong thing? Yeah, right. We see this we see life from this dualistic, or we see ourselves, we're very judgmental about ourselves too. And well, we've all been there, about this right, wrong, good, bad. And it's very, very heavy. And there's a moment, there is this energy that we're getting to where we're finally giving ourselves some grace. And we're finally going with our own flow and dancing to our own rhythm. Finally, we're giving ourselves to live. Finally, we're getting to that space where I'm choosing myself and I'm choosing my happiness first, which is an enormous leap from where we were. Keep it simple. Breathe. Let everything flip. Let everything turn inside out. Let things fall. I have the most that's one of the biggest things that really activates me. We have a very deep subconscious intrinsic program that says falling is bad. So we grow up with this. Like, oh, don't fall. Oh, be careful. You're going to fall. You're going to break things. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. Like, we have such a traumatized idea of what falling and breaking is. Breathe. Breaking and falling is expansion. In fact, you need it. We need it. When things break, they break open and they break apart, and that is part of the expansion. So we have to be willing to flip our whole understanding of how we have believed things to be, because there's so much more. And there are many things that happen backwards, which is part of the, things are flipping upside down, turning inside out, and they seem to be going backwards, but it's the illusion. We've been living backwards for ages. Now everything is turning back to normal. That's what's actually happening. Oh, okay. My mind tells me, oh my God, everything's backwards. Everything's going to hell. Everything's, worse. When in reality, we've been living in that reality for so long that we hadn't even noticed it. We hadn't even become truly aware of it until now, until we're feeling it. When you feel things, everything changes. This is why feeling is so important. I talked a little bit more in depth about that in yesterday's class. But everything's been backwards. Now it's where we're feeling the return of how things should be. We're starting to feel the inversion to wholeness, to feeling more whole and more complete. But that process is intense as an understatement. And I just want to say that to just make you aware that at a physical level, you're going to feel absolutely everything. But the more that you breathe and open and flow with absolutely everything, the more you're going to realize that everything supports you on every level. You just have to give yourself permission to live free. You have to give yourself permission to break out of your jail cell. You have to give yourself permission to see things in a different way, to see things in a different light, because nothing will ever be as it seems. Ever. Everything you're seeing right now, everything that you see in the news, everything you see in the media, everything you hear in the media, I'm gonna say radio. Well, some people do still listen to radio. Um, is only like a fraction of what's really going on. I want you to give yourself permission to not get caught up in that tiny percent of that reality. It's time for us to give ourselves permission to expand beyond that one perspective and see thousands of perspectives. There will always be an infinite amount of perspectives to absolutely every scenario, to every reality, to everything you see, to everything you perceive. And this is why, we don't take everything at face value. We learned that, right? I remember learning that. Um, or maybe I didn't. I don't know. I remember learning that word in my history class. But when you open ourselves to not taking everything at face value, we free ourselves from just thinking that it's one thing happening. There's only one thing happening. There's only one reason, and it sucks and it's horrible, and that's it. I'm just meant to live this reality forever and ever. Can you feel just how heavy that is? How it goes against our nature? Well, we are. That's why we're starting to feel so much. Because we're finally at a point where things make no sense at all. No sense at all. The way we've been living makes no sense at all. The way we have been treating ourselves, the way that we have, you know, fought with ourselves does not make any sense at all when we come to feel who we truly are. So we start to realize that we've been living from our dark side instead of our light side, which is part of the process and part of the experience here on earth. But now more than ever, the dark inside is becoming really loud and really, really big. Why? Because it is giving us the opportunity to connect to that at a deeper level inside of ourselves so that everything breaks. So that we break the darkness, so we break the silence, so we break the jail cells. Because we're done with that reality. We're done with that world. And we have to continually feel we're done mentally, emotionally, physically, energetically. So if you don't know, I really can go on and on. So thanks for sticking around, whoever's watching. If you are watching the replay, which I will continue to leave on my 3 platforms right now that I'm sharing this, thank you. Thank you for just opening up to all this. I always say, I feel like I always say, but I don't. I am transmitting it though energetically. You don't have to understand any of this. Okay. You may think, or whatever you think, about this information, about what you're going through, and about me, because we have tons of things that we perceive about everything. The biggest thing is to give yourself the opportunity to just think a little bit different. Think a little bit wider. If the difference is like, oh, I don't want to be different. I want to fit in, which we all have that, by the way, intrinsically. Give yourself permission to like tilt your head a little bit so that you can see a different angle. By the way, this is why we go through so much neck stuff. Oh my god, we go through so much neck stuff. I went through neck stuff for years. Super tight, couldn't move it. The last time it was like literally could not move and I was in bed all day. Because the neck is what moves your head. And when you move your head, obviously you move your eyes and your eyes are able to see from a different angle. So, give yourself as simple as it may seem, I don't care what you think. I want you to, wherever you are, turn to a different angle. Yeah, do it right now. And I want you to just see what you see. And there's always going to be something new or something different that will come from that shift. You shifting. Yes, this is on all levels, but physically, you're going to be amazed because we actually physically, we get so used to sitting in the same way, sitting in the same chair, right? Uh, Sitting, being, doing things in the same way over and over and over and over and over. Give yourself permission to shift. Again, wherever you are, just turn your head. Allow yourself to see the room from a different angle. Allow yourself to see from a different lens. The moment that you allow yourself this opportunity, everything changes. As simple as it may seem. In fact, it's so funny because my mom, she was listening to someone the other day on the radio. We have like two programs here on local radio that like are very like conscious topics, like very open topics that I've been in love with, and um, that tells me where we are. Which is we were in a very different space. So anyway, she was talking about this guy, how he was talking about like, yeah, like hi Jerry. Um hold on. Um the the guy was talking about like change. And so she took it and she's like, "Yeah, you know what? I always sit in the same chair all the time." And so she started sitting on a different chair. And I was like, "Yay!" So this may seem like a small change or insignificant, but nothing is. Nothing is small and nothing is insignificant. Okay. So let me answer this question. How does anyone work if can't move their neck and it lasts for years? Okay. The biggest thing to really open up about anything that's prolonged, any condition, any physical condition, any health condition that lasts for quote unquote a really long time is to open up to the resistance, right? Oh, hi, Adrian. Um, the resistance, the the internal fight, the internal subconscious fight that we have going on inside, that prolongs things. Okay. The other thing that happens is that our mind gets really caught up with like the length, meaning you might be going through it in phases. So it like comes in and out, comes and goes for, years. And your mind may be like, I've been going through this for years, when technically speaking, it's been in phases, which was my experience. So, like, in high school, I probably went through it a couple times, very deep. Um, and then back in, and then again in college. And then I remember going through a very deep one again in like 2015. Like, it's been in phases. So I wouldn't say like, oh, it lasted me years, because during that time, I didn't get I didn't feel the tightness in the neck every single day of the year. That makes sense. So it goes in, we go through phases of it. Now, the longer the phases last, when you're really in it and you cannot move your neck for a really long, like, significantly long time, then your body is still in the very deep resistance mode. You don't even know. The thing about resistance that we all have to really open up to is that resistant is so engraved and is so deep and is so subconscious that our minds don't think you are. Your mind, and that's like, that adds to the whole, that adds to the frequency, which adds to the whole internal battle that you're going through. Like, we have a gazillion internal battles going on. This isn't just one. We talk about singular internal battle, but it's like you have a gazillion internal battles going on inside. Technically speaking, tons of cells, all of your cells are going through this internal battle. How many cells do you have? It's a lot. So it adds to the battle, it adds to the resistance. When you do not know that you're in resistance, when you do not think you're in resistance, you're adding more to the resistance. Which is part of the reason why I at least try or attempt to open up this energy for every single one, especially my meditations too. Open yourself up a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more to this very subconscious energy. Um, oh, so you're saying if you're older and you've gone through certain experiences, like maybe smoking or maybe other health challenge, or other health challenges, doesn't that add to the duration of the resistance and the time it takes to transmute? um it can, it can. That doesn't necessarily mean that it will, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it always has to. The thing is, when you go into energy is so infinite that you're working outside of the linear spectrum. Okay, so when you're saying, well, you're 20 years younger and you haven't, done this, or you haven't experienced this, or you haven't, you know, um, you didn't choose to go through these different experiences, doesn't that mean that I would have less resistance than someone older, or someone that has smoked, or someone that has done drugs, or someone that has gone through whatever? Technically speaking, let me see. So energetically speaking, that would I'm gonna say this, that wouldn't be the determining factor, because the energy that you are living through in your current body transcends how long your soul has been in that body. That makes sense. So, the resistance is such an interesting energy. Resistance comes from the separation, comes from the energy of separation. Okay, every single person, every existence outside of source has the energy of separation. The energy of separation, excuse me, the energy of separation is interesting. Is different. Uh, okay. The level of separation is different on different levels. So remember, you're an onion. You're in layers. Every single layer that you are has a different level of resistance. Okay. So there will be levels and phases of this process where it's going to be like, oh my God, there's so much here. And then there's other layers and phases and levels and layers where it's like, oh, this is much easier. Ah, okay. Now, you hit certain levels where it does get a bit easier, it gets a bit simpler, like there's not a lot of resistance. But I think the biggest thing that I feel like a lot of us, like coming into this space and coming into this openness of, I don't want to hold on. Actually, we do and we don't. I don't want to let go of this resistance. Resistance is part of our protection mechanisms. Resistance is part of our safety zone. That resistance, that fight, and that battle have become our survival. And so there's a lot of different layers to go into with that. Me personally, um, part of why I wasn't as resistant, or like at the very beginning when I started all of this, is in part because, in part, meaning there's a whole bunch of other things, other reasons, but the the level of remembrance that I started to activate very early on was very big. And it's like, you know how they say like, oh, we've been training to be here for years. Well, I mean, that's relative depending on how old your soul is, right? But um I'm at a soul level, like very old, I'm ancient. And so a lot of things got activated in me when, I really started to become more conscious about this. And so it was quite, it was like a no brainer for me to just, oh, go into this path. Oh, okay, this is where I'm going next. Okay, yeah, this is where. This is what I signed up for. Like I started to remember very early, and it was very, again, it was like I went cold turkey on a lot of things. I went like uh celebrated in a lot of ways, but then I'm like, okay, there's acceleration and deceleration all the time. So it's interesting because with that question, it's like at some level what I'm feeling is like ego saying, well, you have it easier. Oh, well, I have more because I'm older. But I know that's your head. I know that's the separation aspect. That's the one that doesn't want to let go, actually. That's like, "Oh, I'm done. I am I just, chose a harder way and chose a harsher reality, and I chose this and I chose that, and so it's gonna take me longer." Where do you want it to take longer? Where do you still want to hold on to this, because this ties into absolutely everything that you're working through right now, which is that sense of loss. Releasing this resistance is part of that sense of loss. Feeling like if I let this go, I'm going to lose absolutely everything that I know and everything that I believe I need. So you see how everything's connected? You don't, the mind doesn't see it as resistance. The mind sees it as, oh, well, this is my safety. This is my home. This is where I live. If you take that away, it's, I'm doomed. And so there's a lot of resistance to that sense of loss, to your physical home, to your physical family, to all of these different things. For every single one of us, by the way, like every single person has that. So the transmute, the transmuting, the transmutation process doesn't depend all only on the resistance. It also depends on how much light you've got inside of your body. Which is why I'm always like, breathe more light, breathe more light, breathe more light. Breathe more light so that you can become more and more comfortable in that light. But I would say it was harder for you if you were older, as in a physical body. The physical body is not, your physical body is a lot younger than your soul. So your soul is older than your physical body. Your soul is who you are. It doesn't really matter how old you are, how old your body is, how old your body is, your current body is. Um, and we also have to remember that the reason why you chose certain experiences, the reason why we each choose certain experiences, there's a reason for that. Your soul knew exactly what experiences to go through for the biggest soul expansion. Um, so I'm not sure, what clicked, but if it's the light, then yes, the light has a um, humongous role in all of this. Some of us come with more light activated on certain levels than others. And so, right now, as everything continues to expand, as everything continues to activate, there's going to be everything becomes an opportunity to activate more light, to breathe in more light, and to anchor more light, which is a whole, like, that's a whole process within itself and a whole class within itself. But, you know, feel into deeper levels of everything that is attached to your resistance. Like I mentioned, the family is a big one. The physical, um, the physical home, physical security is a big one. Financial is a big one. Uh, Resistance is literally tied to absolutely everything. So it's always going to be really important to just like, okay, I'm going to open myself up and I'm going to write some of these things down. And I'm going to really allow myself to feel everything that I have not wanted to feel, everything that is tied to my resistance. Where do I not want to let go of this? Right? And you go into like, there's a gazillion reasons why. You don't have to go into the gazillion reasons. You just have to allow yourself to feel deep enough so that all the reasons tied to that reason start to really break loose. Uh, Interesting that that's the energy that came through, though. Which, by the way, your head will always like say or think it's saying this, but it's actually saying this other thing. What I'm trying to say is, I didn't think I was saying it was harder for me due to resistance, but maybe it is because I would think you would have a harder journey if you were older. Does that clarify? Older as a soul or older in this body? Older in this body. I feel like where I am coming from is because I feel like you're trying to make sense of this, but you won't. How old we are in this body has quite little to do with it. It's more of the soul level. But then it's so interesting because I know people that have young souls that have are are very open and very awake. I guess overall there probably is more old souls in human bodies that are more open than younger souls. But then again, it's like everyone has their journey. Um, so the body, the linear body, the human body, physical body, um, is able to store an enormous amount of resistance. It doesn't really matter how old your physical body is. Everyone has an enormous amount of resistance, an enormous amount of fears, an enormous amount of this, an enormous amount of everything. Everything ties into separation. So, and then everyone chooses to start opening up and start awakening to this journey at the perfect time, at the time that it's time to, right? So, it's a lot of different angles, a lot of different like things that we can go into, but kind of bringing it back to allowing ourselves to feel, open ourselves to the possibility that we're fighting the very thing that we want. We are very fearful of the very thing that we're calling for. We're very, um, we put all these blocks and barriers in front of us because deep inside we don't feel enough to receive that. And we all have this, right? We all have layers and levels of this all throughout our bodies. And it's super important to start really connecting at a deeper level to all of these things. So close your eyes, breathe, and start asking your question. Asking your body, where do I have the most unconscious, subconscious, multidimensional level of resistance in my body? And just feel that right now. Breathe more light into those areas. Breathe more light into those parts. This will always be about breathing more light, connecting to more light, because there's so many different parts of your body that are so scared of this light. There's so many different aspects that reject, resist, fight your light. So, really getting comfortable with that, really getting comfortable with breathing more light will automatically support you in breathing more light and will support you in remembering to breathe more light, more consciously, more consistently throughout the day. So, it's a whole bunch of different things, different processes, and so many different changes that we're going through. But we're here. It's happening now. We're in this precise moment for a much bigger reason. And so allow yourself to just flow. Give yourself, start with 5 minutes, start with 10 minutes, where you just play with this. Play with this exercise. Go to the bathroom or go to the patio. And you might want to do, maybe you might be got to do this like very slow, very conscious when you do it in your body. But there's going to be there's going to be a moment where you start to flow with your body. You're no longer thinking or in thinking mode anymore. Your body kind of even feels separate because it's moving on its own. You're no longer in this very controlling energy. And that's another really big one. I mean, resistance and control are pretty much the same. But we've been so in control of the body at a very subconscious level that we don't even know. And I want you to give yourself the opportunity to feel what it actually feels to just allow your body to move on its own. Allow the body to free flow. Allow the body to just be. You don't have to think. You don't have to control. You don't have to be in this constant survival mode anymore. And play with this because this softens that experience enough to allow you to open up to it even more so that you can experience this more and more, more and more and more on your day to day. Go to the bathroom, go to the kitchen, go outside, but don't think. Just allow your body to move you. Allow that, oh, and notice the difference. When you start to be like, oh, I'm doing it this way, or I went this way first, or oh, I did this in a very different way than I'm used to. That's when you start to notice how your body, when it's in this flow, when it's in this very soft energy, it moves very differently than when you are controlling it. So play with this. I invite each and every single one of us, every single one of us, because I'm going to play with this too, to play with this, to just see how you move, see what you do, see if you're going, because this is interesting. I'm saying, oh, well, especially okay, if you have to go to the bathroom or you have to go to the kitchen or something, and you just kind of go with the flow, you're going to notice that, oh, you might go in the complete opposite way of how you're used to go. You may actually end up taking a detour to get to the bathroom or the kitchen. It's not going to make any sense, and that's the whole point too. That your body is going to do things that do not make any linear sense to your linear mind. But when you start to open up to this and you start to flow with this, you start to become a little bit more comfortable and a little bit more comfortable until you start to embody this. That makes sense. So play with this. So the reason why, you brought this up and why I felt into the energies of this for every single one of us, because this will always be one of the biggest things and biggest energies to go into. Feeling deeper into how much everything has been how much in resistance we've been and how much control we have been living in, how much we control every part of ourselves and every part of our reality. So breathe, dance with the energies, flow with this exercise and flow with where you are and what is happening in your world right now. So, gonna sign off here in a moment. Thank you so much for again the topic, the theme. I went into all kinds of things. So this will be up on my Facebook and YouTube. For those that just joined, you'll get to see the replay. If you have the link, you'll be able to just see the link or go straight into the replay. But if you don't have the link, it does take time to process. So you'll probably see this tomorrow. I will be here tomorrow, same time, to expand a little bit more. Feel free to join us. Feel free to um, come and expand with us. And on tomorrow, I mean today, I have a group today. I actually did comment on it yesterday, but um, there's another thing. I have a workshop on Sunday. It's going to be a clearing and integrating, and so we'll go deeper into the energetics and the processes and tips and tools to further support you in your process, your clearing and integrating process, and also be opening up to um, sharing tools as well, so that if you do feel that this might be something that you'd like to do or like to learn how to do it for others, I'll also be opening up this space to talk about that. So I'm going to put the link to the workshop, and then I'm going to put the link to um, everything that I currently have. I do have a couple of things that I don't have on my website, and so I'm going to share the I'm going to share the link to that. And also you'll have like you'll be able to like reach out. I have all of my social media I have my email, I have my website. And so sharing that a little bit more right now. And so thank you again, Adrian, for those that are watching the replay. Thanks for being here. For those that were here and I didn't get to say hi, thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for being here, receiving, and expanding. And I'll see you guys soon. Take care.